Okay, let's rock and roll. Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream and the channel. Welcome to AfterCut, my exceptionally occasional series on post-processing and processing post. As we talk through the creative process, we work through the what to do with your photos or your film once you're out of the field, and how to make good creative choices to shape them into the stories you want to tell. I'm Eric, and I'm happy to be here with you. Today, hopefully, not hopefully, like barring acts of Cthulhu, we are going to be finishing up my sorting through all of my photos from Colorado, from the week I spent out there. We've already gone through the Great Sand Dunes National Park photos, the Black Canyon of the Gunnison photos. By the way, again, keep your eyes on the fire out there. Black Canyon, I believe, is still closed, and the north rim of the Grand Canyon is also, I believe, closed for the remainder of the year. So just, yeah, the wildfires out there are getting worse, and yeah, we should be focusing on or being aware of that. Anyway, so yes, we did Sand Dunes, we did Black Canyon, we did Kebler Pass, we did the town of Marble and the ghost town of Crystal and Crystal Mill, and now we're finally landing at Maroon Bells, which is the final stop on our trip. We started out with 1,629 photos from this week, and we're gonna see hopefully get the final totals today. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into Lightroom. There it is. This is the photo we left off on yesterday. This is excellent. I'm great with words so far. Maybe because for the first time I'm drinking soda instead of tea. This is Dr. Pepsi, by the way. The one soda combination that I found actually does taste better than the sum of its parts. Okay, so yeah, Maroon Bells. And as always, please, if you are free and are watching and want to share your thoughts in the comments, if you were creative and you want to share the work that you do, that's always welcome. You're more than invited to be part of it. All right, so there we go. This is the photo we were looking at last time, which I was going to say let's get rid of, but I'm also kind of finding an attraction to with a little bit of something. I'm not saying I'm gonna get rid of. I'm definitely gonna edit it, but I'm gonna keep it. I like it, even if I end up just keeping it as a vacation photo. I like the shot I was hoping to get. Oh, look, I put a rock in the foreground. The shot I was hoping to get for the evening trip out to Black Canyon, I didn't get. I was hoping to get some good like clouds with the mountains and everything. Didn't get that just because the cloud cover was too heavy, but still got some cool shots. We already talked about some of the deer shots we got. Let's see. This one, step one is underexposed. Is kind of doing something. I do kind of like it. This rock in the foreground, I wasn't expecting to make a difference, but it does. It kind of does. I think I like that. I like it better than the one we just looked at, so we'll keep that for sure. Excellent. This photo is dark. All right. Not sure why that photo was that dark. I turn up the exposure enough to see anything. No, I'm adding a ton of noise. And I got plenty of shots of rocks, so we're going to skip that one. We'll come back. Let's see. Geese. If there were any photos I needed less, geese. We're going to skip through. The goslings are kind of cute, though. Let's bring up the highlights and the shadows on those guys. Let's bring up the exposure on those guys. There they are. Look at the little guys. Look how noisy that photo is. All right. This is the problem with wildlife photography once you start losing light. Is that for wildlife you want a fast shutter speed, but that also means less light. So in this case, my f-stop was open as wide as it would go, and I still had to crank the ISO up to 800, and we still got what that looks like. So keeping this as a vacation photo, I like being able to see the little goslings. It's not really a photo I'm gonna do much with unless someone specifically asks for like some couple of noir type geese. I'm gonna keep this one back here. You know, I'm gonna keep both. I'm gonna unflag them both. I'm keeping his vacation shots. We're doing another. We got another one. Man, I was not expecting to be spending time looking at geese. It's actually a shame. This is a pretty good photograph if it wasn't just that dark. I'm gonna actually mark that as keep. I may try to come back and edit that one. That would be kind of fun to do. Here we go. Back at the lakeside of Maroon Bells. Let's see, these are all just way underexposed. To be fair, I'm trying to shoot this. Ooh, I like the what the sky's doing there, and I like the the cow's parsnip is actually in pretty good focus. You're not getting getting a bit of a reflection down there, which is nice. Yeah, my ISO was at 160. I was doing some longer exposures. I was trying some longer stuff. Definitely keeping this one. I like this one a lot. I'm gonna throw 2 stars on it, so I know I've started playing. Next, same deal. What's this one? This one's 1.5. This one's going a little bit longer. Let's see. Highlights. Actually, shadows is the bigger thing. Highlights can kind of stay where they were. A little bit of clarity. A bit of clarity. Bloody haze. Yeah. Also worth keeping and labeling. We're going to come back to that. Man, I was just sticking with this. This went to half a second. Am I still losing? No, that's actually still in focus. That was the thing I'm always worried about when trying to do a long exposure with like plant life in the shot prominently, is that you end up with a little bit of wind and it ends up blurring out. But it actually looks pretty good. It's a little noisy, but not too noisy. Not noisy where it matters, which is nice. You can even see some of the little plants and stuff down and tufts of grass down at the bottom of the lake. Yeah, keep that one. Mark that one as that's a good one. These are my experiments here, so let me back up and reevaluate these guys. This is again a little noisier, but not too much more noisy. But it's kind of it's the same shot with just different clouds. I like the clouds in the other one better. So this one, same thing, same shot. This is the same shot, same clouds. We'll go with this one that's less noisy and has the longer exposure to it. Now I'm just gonna hope I didn't just do this again. Did it again. Let's see. Cow's parsnip still looks good, which is kind of nuts. All right, let's see. Same deal. Highlights, shadows, clarity, touch of dehaze. Needs some more work, but I like the last one better. The clouds here kind of having almost, because I don't have a great reflection of the mountain back there, but I do have a good reflection of the clouds kind of coming in, and like looks like they're all pointing in that direction. The landscape's doing everything's centering you on the main point. That does make the flowers a little bit of an outlier, but it does also add some flavor to the photo. So I like it. I'm gonna keep it, and we'll see. I might edit that. I'm probably gonna edit that more. That could definitely use some refining, but it's coming along. Let's see, mountain with the sky behind it. A little bit going on, not a whole lot. I think I've got better photos of this coming up, so we're gonna move along. Again, here's me going brighter. This was 5 seconds. This was 10. I'm fighting losing light here, so that makes sense. I'm gonna keep increasing my exposure times. Though I can brighten up the shadows without losing too much noise. Let's keep this one. Even if I'm going to keep it as a vacation photo, which I probably am. Alright, so let's see if we can just notice if there's a difference here that's obvious. Apart from that slight change in composition. Yeah, slightly. Can I change anything else? No. Still F9. Okay. So, yeah, minus the change in composition, by the way, let's see. Yeah, I like the first one better. I like the context of seeing that little bit of grass at the bottom. So minus the slight change in composition, if you look at the brightness here, and then the next one. So these are 13-second exposures. It's not a huge change, but you can see this is a little bit lighter. Seeing if it shows up on stream. Yeah, a little bit. It shows up a little bit lighter than this one, which is a little darker. And these photos taken probably less than a minute apart, if they're 13 seconds each, and I'm making a slight adjustment to my shot. Obviously, this is shot on a tripod. Shot on a tripod. Words. Yeah, that slight that little adjustment in light is just a measurement of how much light you're kind of losing minute to minute. Okay. I thought I was done taking pictures, and then my brother went and stood on the other side of the lake with his headlight. He was watching beavers. He's got some really, really great footage of beavers playing out there. This shot is going to be just nigh unusable. What if we zoom in for real? Yeah, that's so noisy. But something like that, I don't know, maybe. Again, incredibly noisy just in that. Definitely gonna keep this. This is a 13-second one. Definitely gonna keep this because I like the just seeing his headlamp on the other side of the lake. This photo's probably not getting. Actually, I'm gonna reset this and probably not edit it beyond this, but. Actually, I'll take that back. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep it as is. Flag it. We'll see if I do anything with it. There's a couple of these. That got darker. What did I change? Okay, so the only thing I changed here was my f-stop. I should have more light in here. I just also don't have. I don't have his. Picked a moment where he wasn't looking at the camera as much, so his headlamp isn't quite as bright. But that's actually kind of nice. It's noisy. It's noisy, but not so noisy that it's bothering me. All right, we're going to keep this one. This one I actually think might have some potential. Again, this is him moving around a little bit, little slight light painting as he goes there. I'm still doing. I've switched to a wide lens now. This is the 24 millimeter. This is now I'm on the 13. That's the problem. Is every time I do this, I'm losing more light. But I can also go to a wider f-stop. Though I like this shot, but I don't like. Yeah, if I'm gonna use, if I want to see his light over there, I want it to be pretty solid. And then yeah, at this point he's moved on. So not that one. Okay, those are the nighttime photos. Let's go to the day. Boom! Look at this. Daytime. Daytime at Maroon Bells when there's light in the sky. I got a couple of these, which I was enjoying just for the. This was down there. This is the mountain that we're still partially covered by cloud. The day began with clouds still hanging low. But this was this was the first peak. By the way, if we're looking at this like over here on this side of the lake, let's zoom into 25% and not go all the way. This side of the lake over here is where that light was. So this photo is, if we look here, this photo is basically kind of this middle crop of this. Is what we're looking at here. There's this one, and then there's this one, which I like better. I think that's the better one of those two. Let's say no to this one. Let's see, I did a few more, but I went wider, which we're gonna have some fun with. Let's see. Yeah, I went a little wider. We'll see. But yeah, so I like this. And the thing I liked about this was that this spot right here, this up here, you can see kind of how bright that is. That was the first getting there at the beginning of the day. It was raining, and then like as the rain kind of stopped, and then it started to clear, and the first like actual break through the clouds was the sun coming through, was hitting that spot right there. So I was like, that's a thing to capture. Then we went a little wider, so I could get that cloud up in there, which I thought was kind of neat. Nope, we're going back too far. We're gonna go forward now. Looks like we got a couple of those. I think that's the one. If I'm going to keep one of these two, it's going to be that one. I think going higher, I think the reflection is adding a nice touch to it. All right, here's a shot that you want to know what we talked about this being the Maroon Bells. Here is why, and here's why this whole area, the mountains all around this lake are just, North Maroon, West Maroon, the bells themselves and so on. I believe the one we were looking at, the one that's going to be kind of our center focus. I believe that's West Maroon. I might be wrong. But this is kind of, again, the overall lesson of this has been when you take a photograph, then turn around and see what's right behind you, because this is right behind from the last photo we were taking, and I love this. This is the first shot of the day where I was like, yep, this feels like it's right. The light is still sort of patchy, still a little dappled. You got the low clouds here. You got the bright color of the cliffs. This photo is going to be good in black and white, but also is going to be great in color. So we're going to keep that. And we have the patch of cloud kind of coming through there. Same deal. I kind of like this one a little better. Which honestly it's a composition thing. I'm going to keep both. I will probably crop this one in so that it kind of lands here, because I really like this composition. But I also, by darkening it down a little bit, the highlights, it gives me a chance to sort of, like, if I push some of the highlights and bring the shadows down, push the whites a little bit, like, also just pull up the clarity a little bit, I can make those patches of sunlight come through stronger, which would be cool. So we're gonna keep that one, vertical one, showing the height of it. I like this because, like, you do kind of see. Actually, I kind of love this for having these two people in there. I don't have to. I might edit out those signs or markers, whatever those are. But, like, probably gonna do something to brighten up those people down there, so you really get a sense of the scale with that. And this is the thing. I'm looking at I didn't notice those people were in that shot when I took it. But looking at it now, I'm like, no, this photo is so. I would not keep this photo if it didn't have those people, and just give that sense of proportion for how absolutely insanely big these things are. And as far as I know, this is not a 14er. Colorado has, I forget how many, double digits, something around 20 peaks that are over 14,000 feet. They're called 14ers, and they are like, you can, like, a couple of the mountains around here are. Now that's not at no point in Colorado are you at sea level. So at no point are you hiking. If you want to hike to the top of something, at no point are you hiking 14,000 feet. You were hiking 2,000, 3,000, or 4,000 feet, which is still substantial. But so what you're seeing here, I don't think this is a 14er. So this is 2,000 or 3,000 feet that you're seeing in a photo and seeing next to a person, and I think that's really cool. So we are absolutely keeping that. I'm putting a star on it. I want to come back to this one for sure. Once again, big landscape. Actually, I think this is. Hang on a sec. Is it better composed than the other two? You know what? I'm taking it back. Lose this one. Keep the hell out of this one. This one is the same thing, but same level of brightness. So we're still getting those patches of light and dark that we can play with. But it's also a better composition. So I like that. Just let someone know I'm on stream. There we go. Boom. So yeah, definitely keeping that one. Really loving that one. Next, okay, let's again talk about relationships and scale. Let's see, got a few of these. Nope, that one's on its own. Going back. Just this edge of this, and I caught this. This caught my eye in terms of finding this composition, mostly because I like to, when I'm out photographing mountains and any kind of large landscape, I get a couple good overall shots, and then I like to sort of zoom in a little bit if I've got the time and the ability to sort of see what else I can see in a landscape, because it's easy to. And also, as I'm sitting here, I talked to you yesterday about when I go out to take photographs in nature, I tend to try to keep my camera away for the first hour so that I can get a sense of, like, what makes the landscape special without me imposing, here's the photo I want on it. In this case, looking at that's an extension of that is you get your wide shots, and then you put the zoom lens on, and you sort of scope around and see what else catches your eye, what relationships you missed. And in this case, this is one of the secondary peaks of that little ridge we were just looking at. You wouldn't think of it as a subject, but at least at first I didn't. And now I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, the sunlight coming through and hitting this patch of rock down here really makes this whole thing feel like it's got a good diagonal to it, which helps enhance the feeling of it being a mountain. I love the patches of trees and the patches of grass. I think that's laid out in an interesting way. I want to adjust. I'm a little bit. My angle's a little bit adjustable. Need to tweak that. I really like this in color, and this is before I edit anything. If I, put this in color real quick. Yeah, turn the clarity up and put that in color. Like, I don't think I want to dehaze much of this. I want to bring the highlights down a bit so we get a little more sky in there. But like, I don't even know if I want to do that. Actually, kind of the highlights on the mountain are pretty cool. If I bring the whites down, maybe that's the trick. There we go. Bring the shadows in a little bit, give us a little more contrast. Yeah, that photo's on its way, I think, to being something pretty special. So I'm going to keep that. This I like less. This is again, same thing. I'm kind of ferreting around, trying to find close-ups on stuff, and I really love the cloud right between the peaks here. But I feel like it's not as clear what it's about. I think, let me see, I got a couple of these that I was trying to, nope, that's another one. That looks cool, actually. We're going to talk about that in a sec. Let's see. I like the second one better. First one's not doing as much for me. Second one, I don't think it's as good as the one we were just looking at, the one with just this peak and the hillside. But I like this for being a little more of a complete ecosystem. You see a little more of the lower level deciduous trees. What's my ISO at? 200. Okay. Yeah, some of the lower level trees that are a little more deciduous. I think some of these are aspens in here, and then we see us go to the conifers and the pines, and then we break the timberline and we get up to the peaks, and then we got some sky. And I will say, looking at the just the contour, just the ridge line, but with that sky behind it, like that to me is a really pretty. That feels powerful. That's a mountain shot that feels like the sky is also kind of going, look at these mountains, look how big they are, which is good. All right, let's see. Got a couple of these. I don't remember if I did a panorama down here. I don't think I did. All right, we flip back to looking at maroon. So we're gonna come back to we will swing back around to there. Of these three, it's the first one that I like the best, and for the very specific reason. There's a bunch of small reasons. One, the colors. The colors look great. Two, we still have some patches of light and dark coming through the clouds, which is also great, and that's also helped by the dark patches of trees and the light patches of rock. So like, there's that. There's also the sky coming through this cloud gives us a nice element in the sky that points to the mountain range without distracting from it. The thing about this photo that makes me go, yep, this one is this little guy right here, this little corner down here of the adjacent hillside. And the thing that I love about that is it gives that little bit of emphasis that this whole hillside, trees, rock, mountains, and all, is standing out from what we might consider normal over here. This is the ordinary hillside next to it. This one feels like a whole special package all in one. And again, talked about it yesterday, talked about it a lot. Context. It provides a tiny bit of context, even if the context isn't. And I can tell you, this hillside next to it doesn't peak out like this. It does have trees and stuff on it. It's definitely beautiful in its own right. But by having just this little corner of it, this little bit of context, it makes this thing, to me at least, feel completely special. And I think that's awesome. So I'm keeping that. I'm starring it. I want to come back to it. This one, not so much. This one, I feel like I was chasing the clouds. And this one feels like that hillside's intruding. This one feels like it's too much context. It's muscling the important thing out. It looks like it's kind of photobombing, and it's a little bit in the way. So we're gonna say no to that. All right, back to the main photo. This is the main peak by virtue of it being the one that's on Instagram more. Like, it's not, and yeah, the viewpoint is set up so that you see it, and set up so that it's, and yeah, I got a lot of photos of it. We're gonna come back to that. This one, so much. This one's not doing a whole lot for me. I'm gonna keep it as a vacation photo, I think. No, I'm not. I got better ones. Get rid of that. Moving on. Here we go. This is again. I've talked a bit earlier on when we were in Kebler Pass about wanting to get some good sea of trees shots. This one feels good. The streaks of light on it, the the sort of the trees here being, you can see details kind of on all of them all the way through until you get further out. That one puff of cloud in the middle gives a nice subject to it. That feels like they're in concert with each other. Love it. This one not as much. The fact that the cloud here is kind of a single entity versus it spreading out makes a difference to me. I think it doesn't feel, it feels more, this feels like, not this one, this one. This one feels like a photo of a forest. This one feels like a photo of a cloud that's a couple minutes too late. Or seconds too late. Honestly, this stuff moves pretty fast. So, no to this one. Yes, the one before it. We move on. Wider shot. Let's dehaze this a bit and see if there's anything I want to get out of this. Not really. I'm not sure. This is. I think I was trying to capture cloud over the mountain and have that kind of ridgeline with the trees. I have. Yeah, hang on a second. I put the highlights back up where they were. Yeah. I've almost completely overexposed the sky. Yeah. That's a no. That one didn't work. Alright, again. This still is not the peak of this mountain. There's still more to this mountain to see. But we're starting to see it, and we're starting to get some patches of light coming through, which is cool. I'm on the 35. And now we're starting to zoom out and see kind of the viewpoint that everyone expects maroon bells to be. I'm going to pass on this one. This one isn't... Let me adjust real quick. Let me just see what happens if I dehaze. Or clarity. No, this one doesn't feel like it's working for me. There's too much cloud. There's not enough everything else. This one's a little better. Zooming out helps. I really don't love this. This bush and I continually fought through the entire day because I was just like, almost every angle I was trying to get, this thing always managed to be on the side of my shot and just be in the way. I'm going to keep this as a vacation photo. I'm not going to take it beyond that. Alright, again, context. Trees all the way up to the peak there. Not particularly engaging for me. Not necessarily not engaging, not nearly as good as the ones we were just looking at. This is a better version. Feels like it's a little more about this honestly feels like I'm looking up the mountain, and I do actually like it for that reason. I'm going to keep this one. I don't know if I'm going to do much more with it, but looking at it in black and white and really being able to sort of... That's too much texture. Let's clarity a bit. Clarity and a little dehazing. Yeah, something like that gives us a little bit of... I don't think I want the mountain to be that dark, but like... Yeah, I think there's... I can actually take the cloud almost obscure the mountain. Something like this, I think... I could see this as like a cool, like, darker postcard. I like that. I'm going to come back to it. Alright, here's looking the other way. I believe these are the maroon bells themselves. It's this spot. This is the maroon bells / snowmass wilderness is what it's called. If you're going out there, don't bother trying to figure out what the weather is at that spot. There, all of the weather forecasts for that region are the entire region, and predicting what's going to happen, predicting how a forecast for an entire region is going to affect an area between a bunch of mountains is a job for someone with a much better understanding of meteorology than I currently have. But yes, so these are the maroon bells themselves, and they're very pretty, and very pretty if I do that. That's the thing about these landscapes. If I pull some texture out of there, they are stark in a very cool way. Also, fun fact, this little stone in between them that's got in that shape. We got some close-ups of that. We're going to be coming back to it. Alright, let's put this like that. Let's put 2 stars on it. Let's mark it as a yes, and we're going to come back. Here's another one. Effectively the same composition. Actually better, though, because it's got... because we got some more light coming through. Let me see, I got another one of these. With less light coming through. This is the fun of going out and taking photos on cloudy days. Let's see, did I get the lake in that? I almost did. All right, probably gonna keep both of these. This one, yeah, definitely not getting the lake there. Yeah, this one, yeah, we throw some clarity on that. We're gonna, and honestly, bring dehazing, bringing the shadows down. it's definitely gonna light up that hillside really nice. And I'm probably gonna, if as I work on processing this one, if this is one that I choose to work on, I'm gonna try to take these peaks and this bright spot of ground and sort of get them to a similar brightness. I think that's and sort of make them all work together. Not exactly the same, but similar. I think that'll be cool. Because right now I feel like my attention's competing for the bright spot and then the mountaintops, and I want to kind of put them on the same plane. But I like this one. 2 stars working on it. I like this one for different reasons. It doesn't have the sunlight coming through the way this one does, so I'm not getting, these trees aren't standing out as much, and that part of the hillside's not standing out. But I've got a little more of the water down here, and that's kind of nice too. Let me turn the clarity up and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's kind of nice too. That honors these trees down here a little bit more, and I could see myself kind of processing this photo in kind of a, like, you know, the peaks of the mountains and the peaks of the forest. That kind of a juxtaposition. I like that. So I'm gonna keep this. Gonna throw a star on it. That's just clouds. This is me waiting for the clouds to clear. So we're gonna pass on this one. Sometimes you turn around and look backwards, and the photos you see are just kind of very okay. These are kind of very okay. One might say they're not good. All right, again, maroon bells themselves. Now I'm zoomed in a bit. Again, so I like this. I got a couple of these. Let me see what these look like. All right, we've gone wider and the sun's come out more. That's exciting. But I'm still on the 25mm, the 24mm lens, and I haven't zoomed all the way out. I don't love this one. I'm not seeing much in, and the reason for this photo. Here's a chance for me to admit a mistake. Shooting in this direction. When the light looks like this, I'm shooting at f10 and 1/125th of a second. So my f-stop is up and my shutter speed is also up because it's daytime and there's light. But yeah, so that's what I'm shooting at here. This one, I turn my shutter speed up to 200th of a second because now I'm facing the sun, and so that sky is inherently brighter. That whole thing is overexposed, isn't it? Not as much as I thought, but yeah, the sky is brighter. And then after getting a couple shots like this one, yeah, same settings. Then I turn back around and hadn't changed my settings back, and so it ends up with the first photo looking really dark. Then I go down to 1/80th of a second, and this looks much better. That often happens, and I know a lot of photographers where they will, you know, those transit. It's like the Dum Dum lollipops, where the mystery flavors are the ones where they're finishing one batch and putting a new one in, and so it's just whatever the first flavor and the second flavor just sort of, yeah, wherever those, you know, got kind of mixed together, that becomes the mystery flavor. It's one of those where it's like, yeah, you can kind of see where I was switching between one subject to the other, because I did keep adjusting settings from one direction or the other. All right, again, I see what I was going for there. I was trying to make this one mountain a little more prominent. I don't think it worked for me personally. I see why, and I see exactly why I did it. Actually, hang on. As I say, I see exactly why I did it. I'm noticing exactly why I did it, and why I did it is because it looks like the sky is coming out the top of that one. And yeah, if I make that more prominent, it makes the photo feel more centered and feel more intentional. And okay. I love being able to get back on the train of logic that I was on out in the field, because it's really cool. It makes me feel more connected to the landscape. Again, I'm looking back, and this shot is once again a bit overexposed just because I didn't change my shutter speed. Yeah, this one's back to 1/125th of a second and is a little more balanced. You can see what's going on in the sky. You can see kind of the ridgeline of stuff. This version isn't doing much for me. This feels kind of cluttered. So what do? You turn the camera sideways and you make it a portrait. Now we're more focused. The focus is the clouds, the ridgeline, and the low cloud behind the forest. Like, that's become the focal point of the photo, and that is much more of a satisfying picture than this one. Which of these two do I like? I like the first one. The first one's cropped in a little bit, or compositionally a little better, and the clouds are, We got some extra space over here we don't really need. All right. Again, looking back at, let's see, did I do it again? I did it again. But I also like this one. I like the clouds in this photo. This photo feels like it's about the clouds with the mountains there as support. I'm gonna keep that one. I like it for that idea. I don't love this one as much. I think this was more interesting as a portrait, and I feel like it's, yeah, I feel like I have done this before and better. All right, once again, Sea of Trees. Got a few of these. Apparently we're rhyming. We took a rhyme break there. And again, talking about if I want to guide my audience, which is y'all, through a landscape and kind of just to, you know, enjoy, like, kind of create a relationship between you and the landscape. The best way to do that in my that I have found, and that works the best for me and down in my heart, is giving you a way in to connect with. And in this case, it's this little tree here, which also means this first photo is not the right one. This one, I think, might be the right one. This one, the tree is more prominent. You know, it's definitely the first thing. Like, without the sky up there, this is the first thing my mind goes to. It's right at it's sticking out from the rest for a second. It's got the gravel behind it. You notice the gravel, and then you notice the tree, and then from there, the tree, like an arrow, guides you back through the forest. And yeah, I think this one might be the one. I think I went up a little more. I zoomed out a little more to see how far I could get. I don't think it makes a difference. I don't think it makes enough of a difference for me to keep it. I think the first one's better, because what I would be doing with that second one, which is technically the third one, what I would do with this one is I'd crop it to look like the first one. And then this one I went too far. This one I made it. This is a photo about the tree with less context, and that is less impactful to me. Did I finally put the wide lens on? Nope, I'm just zooming out more. All right, but there you go. That is a better shot of the maroon bells, and if I turn the clarity up on this, that's gonna be a good one. Also, I'm starting to get a little of the lake in there, which is nice. Let's see, which of these is better? Highlights down. Do I still have that patch of sky? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting to the main viewpoint. I'm keeping the first one. I'm losing the second. The second one feels like it's what I might crop this first one to, but I think the first one is the better of the two. All right, here we go. This is this is the shot they want you to take a picture of. This is and again, we're still, the peak of our mountain out here is still covered in some cloud. We'll get to that. But this is the photo. And this is okay. Now I'm on the wider lens. I think I'm zoomed out just enough to avoid the edge of that bush there. It's either the bush or the cow's parsnip. We'll get to both. They're both involved. Yeah, I like this one. I have better ones coming up, but I like it. I'm going to be keeping a lot of these. There we go. That's what I was avoiding, this little bit of log and detritus, and the people over there, because yeah, again, I'm specific about what man-made stuff ends up in my photos. I do really like this. I'm going to keep this as a vacation photo. If I end up feeling like I'm missing something, I'll come back to it. It's a little generic, but I like this one better than this one. This one feels like it's too about the sky and losing the mountain, and therefore I'm really losing the reflection. So I'm gonna lose that. I'm gonna mark this one as a keep. Not you. Mark you as a keep. All right. And once again, how's this compared to this one, to the first one? All right. Little bit of a more level horizon. Clouds being a little more, kind of equally interesting. Let's keep both. The reflection's a little more present here. So is this little stalk of something. And here's the thing: I haven't even gotten to the long exposures yet. These are all at 1/160th of a second at f10. So these are all shots that are designed to be, that are just, capturing, honestly, darker than it really was. Just because camera eyes and human eyes are a little bit finicky. All right, we got 3 of these. And we got that one. That one doesn't count right now. We're looking at portraits. This one feels a little off-center. I'm going to say no to this one. This one's more centered. That one's more sky. I'm a little tilted here, but I think the sky one wins in this case. I think having it as a portrait makes it a little bit easier to notice everything. And whereas here, it felt like this is about, like, first thing I'm seeing is the sky, and then it's like, oh, I guess that is a giant mountain there. This one here feels like my eye weirdly somehow goes to the mountain first. I go to the mountain, I go to this smiley, this curve here, which immediately makes me see the reflection, and then the sky is equal, but not distracting. So keeping that. Another shot, just me walking around, me avoiding people. Not bad. I like the clouds kind of serving as almost as wings, and this one puff of cloud that keeps obscuring the actual peak of that mountain I think is amazing. There you go. Again, we still don't have the full peak, but we do have. That's the shot. That's the. This one's less interesting. Yeah, this is the Welcome to Maroon Bells. This is what this is the. I saw so many people, like, come out of the parking lot, walk down to the water's edge, take out their phones, take a picture, turn around, take a selfie, and leave. Like, this is the shot people wanted. And it's gorgeous. It absolutely is gorgeous. This is a very, very, very beautiful spot to have access to and be able to interact with nature in this way. It was funny. They have a bin full of, like, hiking poles there's not a visitor center or anything, or a ranger station, but there's, like, signs, welcome to the area, here's the trails. They've got a bin full of hiking poles you can borrow. I watched somebody take a hiking pole out of that, walk down to the edge, like, put on a they had a hiking vest on. They had a hat. Get this hiking pole, turn, get their friend to take a picture of them where they're, like, pointing at the mountain and holding onto the hiking pole, and then they went right back, put the pole away, and left. And it was just like, I mean, hey, like, at the, like, yeah, you're kind of that wormy dude who, like, someone else kills the monster and then you take it and you stand on it and stab it like you're the one who actually did it. On the other hand, like, someone might see that and think, oh, that's a really cool spot, and we're again helping share. I'm never an advocate for insincerity, but I am an advocate for showing off nature. So to some degree, I'll take what I can get. I like this for reasons that don't make sense to me. I like what the clouds are doing. I like that the clouds both somehow the white clouds over here kind of backdrop this peak. The white clouds over here backdrop this one, and then the blue in the middle kind of makes these guys noticeable. Also, it's light. That spot is the brighter spot of the three because the sun's hitting it. And, like, yeah, I like this one. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm gonna edit it. I don't know if I like it enough, but I do like it. And then here's this bush that my nemesis. Next. Okay, this one explicitly about the sky, but because it's... Looks like I've got 3 of these. Let me check. Because I've got... Yeah, because of the way the clouds are, because I found a better composition, something about this, it's about the sky, but you don't lose the mountain. I think that has something to do with... All right, this is my horizon here is definitely off. I'm going to keep it because I like the twist to it. This one feels... It's correct. It's better horizon, but it feels a little bit off. And this one feels a little better. I think the first one is still my favorite. I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep the first and third. And I'm gonna star the first one, because I love the way the clouds are just sort of, arcing up over the thing. That makes it feel. It makes it feel like it's somehow coming from or coming to the mountain, and that helps draw your eye. It's so bright. It's so just massive, and then you come down here and be like, oh, but yeah, by the way, that's a 14,000 foot mountain. That's 14,000 feet, and here's the sky. It's a photo about the sky with the mountain in a supporting role that works. Also, just personal thing. I guess it's not in the... Yeah, it's only in the third photo. The third photo, I absolutely love when you have a reflection shot and you can see the rocks and stuff under the water. And also, the water here at Maroon Bells is most of it's glacial melt, so it's cold, but it's also very clear, and honestly and usually has a lot of color in it. We're gonna come back to that later on, because there's a spot further up not behind this mountain, but up towards it, that is just gorgeous with color. Let's see, this shot is a vacation shot. I like it. I do like the texture on the water. I don't like it enough, I don't think. I think this is... my next thought is do this as a landscape. And then, hey, look, I did it as a landscape. This is... Because this is a lake that does not have... this is a lake that is... What is that? Let me see what that is. Let me zoom in more. See if I can tell. I'm actually not entirely sure what that is. Huh. Could be a fish. I know there were some fish there that were kind of jumping out of the water. Could be a bird sitting on the surface. But anyway, we move along. But yeah, no, the texture of the water is dictated entirely by two things. One being something getting thrown in it, and the second being wind. And when it's breezy, you get these ripples that are not the reflection that you kind of generically think that you want, but it does add an extra layer of texture to it. And the cloud up here is just making a nice detail, and the color of that water is, yeah. I really like that one in some ways, because it's not as classically, the classic photograph you think of when you think of a mountain and a lake, which I really, really, really like. All right. This here, yeah, I like this mountain. I like it. Yeah, mountain in the sky. I like this one. I think it's a good balance. I think it's a good shot of the landscape while also having enjoying the clouds in there and helping the clouds stay with perspective. I like this less. I liked having the lake. Called a lens flare. That's interesting. I probably will edit that out, but I do like this photo, kind of for the same thing. I like when I can see the rocks. In this case, I can't really see the rocks, but I've got such nice texture on the water that just, and also it's kind of guiding us back to the mountain. The sky is in a good spot. I'm probably going to try to clear that lens flare. It's be an easy enough thing to do, but yeah, other than that, I really, really like this photo. Here's a fox. There's at least one fox known for hanging out around hanging out around the base of the base of the mountain area by the trails. In this case, guy looks a little scraggly, but also was way too comfortable being around this many people to not be being fed. Obviously not by me. Do not feed wild animals. It does not end well for anybody. But I'm keeping this shot as a vacation photo. I like this little fox. I like this one too, but it's looking the wrong way and it's a little bit out of focus. There's some kind of sinister about this one that I'm absolutely that I'm 100% gonna keep. This just feels spooky in a good way, because you can clearly tell what it is, but it's not. And because of the color, like the grass is really nicely in focus, and you just have this beautiful dark shade behind you. And then you get shots like this, when the little guy decides to sit still for a moment and give me an interview. A lot of this was manual focus, which makes me even happier that I managed to get it, because the photo before is what happens when my camera tries to autofocus on a fox. This is what happens when I have to do it myself. And both are cool, but this is the good one. A little bit of not a lot of context in this one, but you don't really need it in this, like, to tell this. Like, yes, it'd be very cool to have the story of the fox at the foot of the mountain, but also just a fox looking through the long grass. I'm amazed how sharp that is. That makes me so happy. Fox looking through the long grass is especially with a fox, I think is a very cool shot. It might be the best photo. I don't know if it's the best photo of a fox I've ever taken, but it's definitely up there. And then again, I'm gonna edit that one as well. But yeah, 600 millimeters, 7.1 f-stop. So my depth of field is not everything, which is kind of feels right. Like these these grasses in the foreground are out of focus, the grass in the background are out of focus, but the fox is entirely in focus. So you've got, I mean, the nose, honestly, a little bit isn't, but the eyes are, and then you can go back to the fur, and yeah, he's also in focus. So we're keeping that. And then here's this one, which loses something because he's not looking at us, but gains something because you get to see that beautiful, beautiful snout, that beautiful jawline that he has. Also, again, I like this. We talked about the, where was this? Oh, one of the spots where we were looking at deer. I think it might have been at Black Canyon. Or there was the deer that had like just a bit of grass in front of his eye and made it look like made it look like he had a pupil and he had some highlight. This fox doing kind of the same thing. That little bit of grass there draws your eye to him. Yeah, no, he's gorgeous. He's absolutely adorable, and he's 100% staying. And I don't like. I'm gonna edit some of this, but there's not a lot to do. This photo makes me really, really happy as is. Here he is slinking off. I know this probably isn't something he's proud of, but I do love the different colors in his coat. All right, well, that was the fox. Now we're back. Now we're going to talk about a wolf. Not a real wolf, sadly. If we were talking about a real wolf, there's no way I would have waited till this deep into the series to bring it up. But this rock formation here is called the Howling Wolf, which is fairly obvious why. And this photo was a photo I took just because I was looking for something to take a photo of, and the sky was kind of doing a thing. We're going to come back to it. I've got a lot of really good photos of this rock formation. I'm keeping this one, though. Not this one. This one's actually I'm keeping this one as a vacation photo. I'm keeping this one with a flag on. I'm saying yes to this one, mostly because it does look like you've got cloud coming out of his mouth. I'm very here for that. All right, once again, mountain. Here we go. This one is staying as a vacation photo, but this is the first photo where the clouds finally left that peak alone. So that's what the whole mountain looks like. We will have more wide landscapes of it, but this was the first moment that was like, there it is, guys, we found it. We also found these people's heads and this person's shoulder. So, still not sure what's out in the lake there. Ongoing mystery. Once again, there's a mountain. This photo actually is actually pretty good. This is the same thing, but brighter. Almost exactly the same thing, but brighter. Okay, well, we're going to keep the bright one and lose the dark one. Histogram's better on that one anyway. Keep that, and I'm going to be... And this now I can play with some clarity. And obviously dehazing a good bit and really enjoying the lights and darks. And ooh, that's kind of I know this is an overused trope, but that sort of portal to the sky thing that showed up in the first Iron Man and then in every other movie ever since then. We do kind of have that going on with the clouds here coming from the mountaintop, and that is neat as fuck. Keep that. Love it. Next. I'm entirely unclear on why I took this photo, and I do kind of like it for that reason. I'm liking it a lot more now. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it, but I'm gonna flag it. I'm gonna adjust some stuff on it. This is a photo I feel like I can turn the texture pretty well up on, because it is about that line between the edges of the peaks. Here it is again, just correctly exposed. I don't know why, but I like this. I'm gonna keep it around for now. Deer. There's a stag, and a couple of stags. These two stags hanging out where the female deer were the night before. Unfortunately, don't have a whole lot of good deer photos from down here. We do have some great ones coming up later. I think on the first stream I showed one of them. But yes, which is again, this would be if I was on the right lens. I am on the right lens. I'm on the right lens. This is 600 millimeters away. Damn, that guy was a distance. He was actually. He was on the other side of that field. But yeah, I'm also I'm at a 320th of a second, which is the reason why his focus is a little soft, but there's not a lot of blur around him because the shutter speed was quick enough. Vacation photo, keeping it for that reason. Okay, there's the Maroon Bells, Snowmass Peaks, as again I think West Maroon. forget if that might be. Yeah, there's West Maroon, North Maroon, South Maroon, and it was hard to find someone to explain the difference between them. I like this. I don't. It's not as classic as the ones that are coming up where we're gonna see the lake, but yeah, it feels pretty iconic in a good way. Zooming out a bit to see the lake, and again, the one time we joked about going out the night before this, and being like, well, we had amazing clouds and amazing weather for the whole rest of the trip. We're allowed one bad night, and then I got here the next day and it was raining, and I was like, did I use all my good weather points? Am I just the rest of the trip just gonna get this? And then it cleared and this happened, and I got this gorgeous, just the cloud curling over the top of it that really makes it stand out and feel powerful and unique. And it feels like, because this area down here is dark and this area is bright, and then the mountain itself has the brightest points because it's got the glaciers or ice fields on it, but it also, like, it's kind of the exact intermediary between the two. You got kind of a yin yang thing going on. Actually, I wonder if I could actually. I feel like I was doing I had some photos from Black Canyon that felt kind of yin yang-ish, but I'm also wondering, like, I'm curious. This is gonna be dumb, but let's see. If I was to do something like this, man, I want to find that balance. I don't know, something like that with a little bit of, maybe a little bit more and darkened down a bit down at the bottom. That could be kind of cool. All right, 100%. Yes. 1 star. Nope, 2 stars. I'm gonna already say I've already touched the crop. I like. Hopefully, I'll look at this crop and I'll look at this thumbnail and go, okay, now I know what I want to do with it. All right, another one. Let's go back to this. Same kind of thing. Not quite as interesting to me. I think I really like this feels a little more distracting, feels a little more about the sky. So we're going to say no to that one. This one feels a little better. This is going to need a little bit of cropping, but it does have that streak in the sky is very nice, and the mountain does still feel like it's the main feature, so we're going to keep that. This feels like the mountain is too much of the main feature and kind of absent context. Now we're adding context. We're going to flip a bunch of these real quick. Come on. Lightroom takes its time. Rotate left. Nice. All right. So, yeah, we left off here. Gonna kind of quickly tap through these. I like this one better than the first one. I think the first one's a little bit kind of missing the point. This feels like it's got the better context, but it also feels like we've done good photos like this recently. Now we're trying to get the reflection in there. Don't think it's quite working the way I was hoping it would. That feels a little better. That feels worse. Okay. So no. And then yes. This is also a yes. That's actually a yes. That actually might be a better yes than the one after. Let's keep that one. And then we're going to keep... I'm going to keep this one. I feel like there might be something fun to do with it. All right, moving on. Again, Howling Wolf, and again, me trying to kind of add some context to him. It's not really working. To some degree, the Howling Wolf became my sort of... I like this one, actually. I'm looking at this. It sort of became my, like, I'm waiting for people to move, or I'm not sure what to do with... I got some cloud cover, some wind coming in. What can I take a photo of? And I kept coming back to this wolf. All right. Okay, here we go. Now we're bright. Now the sun's coming out, and we are gonna have some fun. Also managed to get some rocks at the bottom there. Don't need to zoom in that much, but whatever. Let's start by just taking a look. Bring the highlights down and the shadows. Shadows in a bit. Turn the clarity up. Yeah, that brings the clouds out. Gives it a nice, almost S sort of shape. That almost does look like a yin-yang up in the sky. Absolutely keeping this one. 2 stars. Move on. Doing more of these. Same thing, just exposed more correctly. and less interesting, I think. I think it's more interesting when you've got a little bit of more brightness to play with, and I'm probably going to darken that other one down a bit more, but I like having a little bit of wiggle room there that this doesn't feel like it's affording me to the same degree that this one is, and my horizon's straighter on this one. All right. Here's a wide shot of what it's supposed to look like, and here's a nice family. They were very sweet. I ended up meeting a lot of these people. But yeah, there's... Actually, I think I'm going to keep that as a vacation shot. I think that's funny. Again, really, by virtue of me hanging out at this kind of nexus for a good chunk of the day, I ended up, and because I had a camera with me, and I ended up being the person that everyone was turning with their phones with and being like, "Will you take a photo of us?" And so as a result, I got to meet a whole lot of interesting people and take a lot of interesting photos of them. So this will be my little keepsake from that. I'm not doing long exposures yet. I'm nowhere near. I haven't gotten to long exposures. Those are coming up somewhere in here. But right now we're here. And this is the beginning of me trying to get this reflection to look good without stuff in the way. I don't know if I'd achieve it here. If I was to crop this, I'd want to crop out most of that. I end up with that, which actually doesn't look too bad. It looks very close to photos we've already taken. But I'm going to keep it for that potential reason. Going wide from the log jam that's down there, which was amusing because I did hear a woman come in and like when you walk in, you were walking along with this. This lake exists because there's a beaver dam off to the left, and the beaver's lodge is on the other side. That's when we saw Steven's headlamp way at the other side of the lake. That was him hanging out with the beavers at their lodge, but their dam is over here on the left, and that's why this lake exists. And so there is a flow that comes out of it. Excuse me. As you know, the glaciers melt, more water comes down, and eventually you will see higher up what that flow looks like. That feeds into this lake, but it does feed out as well. And so you have this lake. That's the reason you have this gorgeous lake. But you also, because there is a little bit of flow and there's a dam there, and as the way beaver dams work is they tend to cause a log jam. You tend to collect logs down there. And so as you come into this place, you're walking alongside this. You see all these logs, and then you see the mountain and all this gorgeousness in front of you. And I had a woman saw a woman come in who, within seconds comes in and goes, "Oh, that's very pretty, but I wish they'd get rid of these logs. They're not pretty to look at." And it made me laugh in kind of a cynical way because it's the callousness with which you brushed off this amazing scene because one aspect of it wasn't perfect to you. And then also, wishing they'd get rid of the logs is just a fundamental misunderstanding of why any of this exists in the first place. So, I'm going to keep this photo as a vacation photo for that reason. Because it makes me... I'm not forgetting that woman. That woman was great. I don't think I know these people. I remember that guy in the red and the white shorts, but I don't know anybody else. I'm going to pass on this one. I know I've got better ones coming. All right, here we go. Now I'm trying to be a little more specific with it. I'm not long exposures yet. I'm getting close. I feel like this one's. Yep. No, we got long exposures coming up real soon. Long exposures with a 10-stop neutral density filter, ND filter on the lens to give it to be able to do a long exposure in the daytime with this much sun. All right, I talked a lot about agonizing over when you're doing a shot with a flower in the foreground and the mountains in the background, how the biggest adjustment you can make between shots is how high the camera is, because the lower you go, the higher the flowers are going to be. And I was always enjoying wrestling with where's the reflection end and the flowers begin. I really like this photo. This one is one I think it's really balanced. I think it's really pretty. I think it's a cool, it's a nice juxtaposition. I wasn't planning on falling kind of really enjoying taking photos of Queen Anne's lace and cow's parsnip. This is cow's parsnip, by the way. Very similar flower structure, very different leaves. But yeah, I like this one. I wasn't expecting to enjoy taking photos of cow's parsnip as much as I did, but I did. So same thing. I've raised the camera up a little bit. I've gone a little higher, a little closer. little wider on the lens, I think. I went from 14 to... I went from 10. Okay, that's 10. So I zoomed in a bit. I don't like this as much, even though I do like that there's a little bit of nice separation between the flowers and the mountains. Let me see. If I throw some clarity on this and just kind of get a sense. Yeah, these are all... That's the problem, is these are all going to look really good with this context, because these are just... It's a good composition. Let's see. Let me flip the next couple just to get them all... Be able to see all of them at once and look at them that way. Okay, that's a long exposure thing. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me get back. Alright, so it's this one, and this one. So I'm working my way in. Yeah, I like that first. Alright, it's the first one or second one? I'm not sure on this one. I like both. I'm keeping both. There's a decent chance that I can crop. I can get to the third one by cropping either the first or the second, just to varying degrees. But I'm gonna keep them both. I like them both. I'm gonna trust my energy to find that when the time comes. All right, long exposure. This is only 20 seconds. I think I ended up doing some that were more than a minute. But here is the problem with doing long exposures with plant life in the foreground when the wind is going, because yeah, that's what this turns into. Clouds too, you'll notice. The clouds got a little fuzzy, which is cool for long exposures like this, because it's cool to have the landscapes staying and the clouds and water seeming like they're moving. This is the other end of that coin. The other side of that coin. Other end of that coin? Just this is the edge. No, this is when it doesn't work. This is more when it does. This is a 5-second exposure, so not as long. Little bit of a little bit of roughness in there, but really not much. That's a little bit of movement, and it does tend to. The other thing that like a long exposure like that will do, apart from it does two things. Does a lot of things, but two of the things it does is if there's people in the shot and they're moving, that for the most part they won't get captured. So you can. It's a good way to take photographs of landscapes when there's people around. Still take some trial and error. It's not a one fix all. You also kind of got to wait for waves of people. The other thing, though, is that it smooths out the ripples in the lake. Why? I don't need to zoom in this much. Let's do 33%. Yeah, it smooths out the ripples, so you get a clearer reflection versus like this, which has the same texture, which has the same reflection, but you've got all that texture. It's dependent on what you want, but this does seem cleaner, and I like it for that reason. And again, we got a little bit of breeze. This is a 10-second exposure, so I was going a little bit longer, because the longer you go, yeah, the more, like, the other thing is that you can tell, like, in these 5 seconds, we didn't get a lot of breeze. In these 5, we did. Or in these 10, we did, because you can see the streaks of wind blowing the water, and you can see what happened to the cow's parsnip. All right, we moved away from that, and we are now taking long exposures, focusing on the mountain. Let's go through these. We got a bunch of them. This one is going back way too far on that, y'all. Let's go back to here and stick with this. Let's talk about this one. Unflag it. All right, 15 seconds. Looks good. No real notes. The other thing about doing long exposures is when you have plant life growing through, coming up around the water, the water becomes this very glassy, sort of clear, sometimes frosted glass, but it becomes this very smooth thing. And then the plants don't. So it becomes more obvious that they're sticking up. I may, if I end up editing this photo, I may try to remove those a little bit. Let's take another look. Now we're at 30 seconds, so I'm figuring out how I want to shoot this. Love what the clouds are doing. Don't love really anything else about this shot. 30 seconds again. Now we're better. Now the clouds aren't as interesting, but we are brighter. My horizon's off a bit. Don't like this photo as much either, but it is starting to be a thing. That's better. Now we got the clouds with some motion in them. The water smooth enough that we're getting a pretty nice reflection there. Gonna keep that. And then there you go. That feels like what I was kind of building toward this whole time. You want to see the Maroon Bells photo?
be on camera.
You're fine. You're all the way over there. But like, yeah, that's not edited. That's
what, really?
Yeah, that hasn't been touched.
Jesus.
Yep, that came out of camera looking like that. It's a minute-long exposure with my big my big 10 stop filter on it.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, Maroon Bells is absolutely beautiful. You see why this is one of those spots where people say you have to go, and yeah, hopefully you go and stick around for longer than just to take a selfie. But yeah,
that's a gorgeous photo.
It is. It came out looking really good.
You have to do anything to it.
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think I don't have to do much, but also if I bring the clarity up, it adds. Like, this is the one I'm editing. Bring the clarity up, I'm adding to it. I bring the highlights down, it adds a little more. Like, there's little tweaks to do. This one's an easy edit. It's really gorgeous, and it's getting a star because I'm going to come back to it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. All right, doing some long exposures this way. Doing some portrait long exposures. Let's see, this one. It's a difference here, and the reason there's a difference between these two is the same exposure length. Pretty much, I think it's the same f-stop. Oh, it's more open. Difference is I've got a polarizer on my lens, and so I was adjusting that throughout the shot to catch some brightness and darkness, and I didn't quite get there. This one was me trying to get some of those rocks in the foreground, and let's see, I did a few of these. Also, here's we've got some wind coming in, which luckily I avoided. But yeah, I really like how this one came out. That one's definitely a favorite. It's also cool just going between these. You can see the way the light changes on the mountain and on the area as the clouds kind of pass over the sun. I like this one as well. I like that. Actually, I like that one a lot too. How overexposed is the sky? Really isn't. Okay, even better. All right, so we're going to keep the first one, and we're going to keep the last one, which does look really cool especially in colors, that blue comes in. Next, I'm again trying to take pictures of the howling wolf and not really doing it the justice I want to, so we're going to sort of move past that. That's better. I like the two lines of trees, kind of two rows of trees, kind of A coming down here and then B kind of coming here. Felt like a focal point for this kind of shot. Oop, went back too far. Let's say 1 or 2. And I did some vertical ones as well. There's some that one or that one or are these two even different? Barely. Amazing. All right. Well, I'm not keeping any of these. These aren't doing much for me right now. That's doing better. That's a much more interesting shot. Got a couple of these. Can always tell I'm sort of doing the right thing when I like take a photo and then adjust something and then like take I've got photo A looks like is one thing, photo B dehaze. Let me see what this guy's doing here. This one feels worth keeping. This one not as much, but it's always fun when photo A and C are very similar because it's telling me, okay, my first instinct was a good one. Less so here. This is again, I was really trying to make the howling wolf into a thing, and doesn't really feel like I got there, at least not yet. But that's okay. Being wrong is an essential part of learning. You can't if you're never wrong, you were being like, yeah, if you're never wrong, you are not challenging yourself, and you're spending time with people who are, especially if your friends never tell you you're wrong, you are spending time with the wrong people. If they tell you you're always wrong, that's also a problem, and you're still also spending time with the wrong people. But it's a little pinprick of, oh, it's a bird. Oh, that's cool. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, this photo's staying. I also like the clouds here. This one feels kind of cool, where you've got the clouds as a the white clouds in the middle as a buffer, and then you've got this sort of peak of cloud and then peak of rock down there. It's cool. Feels like a good combination between the two. All right, we have We are now moving up from the main viewing area, and we are doing the scenic loop, which has a bunch of great shots as we kind of come up in here. This is the river that feeds down into the lake that is Maroon Lake. So yeah, we're gonna work our way up. Got a few of these. I know I've got some better ones at the end of this because I came back around because it's a loop and took a few shots there once people had stopped being in the shots. But let's see. I gotta figure out how to get my camera to orient portraits correctly, because it's getting kind of silly having to do this every time. But anyway, we left off here. So we have this one. I'm gonna sort of just go through them. That's a very slight change, almost imperceptible. That's a bigger change. If we go back to the wrong photo, then the change looks much bigger. Yeah, it feels almost imperceptible, that change, because I guess I was sort of tapping away. I think this one's speaking to me more than the previous one. So right now, 203 is the one to beat. It's a different type of photo. I don't really love that. I think it's, I don't know. You know, I'm gonna keep it for now, which also means I should probably keep 203. Let's go ahead and make 203 a choice. 205, 206. Here's 207. Let's look at 207. Alright, well, I think did we go too far? No, we got rid of that one. This one went wider. We liked that one. Again, slight adjustment. I don't know if it changes. I think it's better. It's the very slight change, but that little tiny shift makes things feel like they align better. I like this one. This one feels like it's more about the water. Let's see if I did a few of these. That feels like it can't decide. That one or this one? This one. Water's more interesting. It's a photo about the water that feels like it's more about the water, and it is still low enough that we have that little cutout of cloud up top, and that adds a little bit of detail, even though I might crop it out. We'll see. Next, okay, this is one of the views from that point. These are hikers. That's a sign. The hiker, is that a hat? I think that's a person in a hat. Nope, that's more cow's parsnip. I got lucky and was able to avoid people. Looks like I did a few of these. That looks very pretty, despite there being a few people on the trail there. Not the worst thing in the world. Actually, people on this rock here too. All right, this is a vacation shot. It's very pretty, but it's not gonna get. It's not gonna get edited. There's more work involved in that I think it deserves. Weird thing to say. Excuse my yawning on stream. I do like this one. This is another long exposure. This is another 61 seconds apparently. I'm gonna keep that. I don't think I'm gonna keep this one. I think I got better ones coming up later. So we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep this one as a vacation shot. This is rotating on a wide lens, and notice how much further away the mountain feels. Not necessarily in a good way in this shot. This is me trying to really connect with it. And now I've zoomed in a bit because I saw the problem. I don't think this is doing it either. Now I zoomed out and tilted up, which helps bring the mountain. When the biggest difference in a wide lens between where you see that noticeable warp is between the center and the edge. And so if I adjusting this, putting the mountain and the water kind of a little more on the edge. A little more on the edge. And also adding the sun up top with this little lens flare. This lens flare I like because it's aiming right at the mountain. This one I think helps feel like they're part of the same thing versus this that to me feels like the mountain is kind of being lost. Once again, coming upstream toward a mountain. Very pretty. So I decided to keep that. Let me see. Yeah, I'll keep that. Why not? I've got one of them. Might as well keep it. Let's get Lightroom to cooperate. That'd be the first step. All right, we are coming up. We are just over 100 more to do, and I think we can pull this off. Because I can't stop taking pictures of the same things, so real easy. This one's good. I like this. I love the clouds, kind of two peaks of the clouds coming up off the mountain. I love the lighting coming through the clouds here. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I like this one less. Actually, I still like this one. I like the curve here. I like that feels kind of like a natural bottom to the photo. And then, yeah, getting the sky up there. But, like, yeah, I like that one. I like this one better. All right, next. Another good. The land, because they got the slopes, the landscapes here have those really nice curves to them, which makes it easy to kind of feel like the mountains are being placed on a pedestal for you. Being put on a plinth. That's not doing a whole lot for me. There's a few of these. And the number of times, like, not for this photo, but there's a couple of photos that I had to really wedge myself into the woods to get. Yeah, there's a little bridge there. We'll come back to that bridge. It's funny. I actually think I stood at this spot for a very long time trying to get people. Look, there's people over there. Trying to wait for this one couple to get off the bridge, and then they eventually did. And I was like, perfect. And I took a bunch of photos, and now I'm looking at this going, well, this isn't that good, actually. This isn't... I think if I brighten this up and can make that bridge more of a thing, but there's people on it now, so, maybe. I'm going to keep this as a big maybe. All right, let's talk about the way that river is flowing. And let me also rotate all of these because they're all in the way. All right, because I'll have to do it anyway. All right, so here's the, yes, bridge, river, tree in the foreground there, mountain in the background. This was my first shot just to get a sense of, like, this river is roaring. This isn't even a big water small, but it's still, like, it's rapids, and this is coming down from a higher lake, not even directly from a glacier, from a higher lake down to Maroon Lake. So this becomes this, like, you do have a substantial flow coming this way, and this is all this water added to Maroon Lake is one of the things that kind of pushes those logs to the log jam at the very far end. Isn't nature interesting? It's all a giant game of Mousetrap, and that's awesome. And of course, in nature, the winners of the games of Mousetrap are owls. All right. Did a bunch of these, and just consistently kept, like, I am, like, 4 feet off the path, like, just hip deep in vegetation, getting these shots. I like this first one. I think this first one is cool, maybe for my own personal reasons. I like this one a little bit less. I think I feel like I'm losing the river a bit. I feel like I found more of the river now. I like this. I feel like this tree is a little distracting, but everything else, the river kind of almost feeling like it line, like you can almost, like, it is incorrect to, it is technically incorrect to say that this glacier up here is flowing directly down into this river. It is, however, like, you know, mostly correct. Like, that's the water source. It comes down. There's a lake up here. It comes out of that lake, and it comes down to here. But because of the way they line up, it does seem like it's a continuous flow, and I really like that. I'm going to keep that, even though I know that a couple of these are going to be better. This one's better. And the reason this one's better is because I nudged that tree a little bit out of the way. So we're going to... I'm sure I looked absolutely hilarious, like standing there, tripod camera, trying to get a shot, trying to sort of push a branch just slightly out of my frame, and I'm standing, you know, waist deep in veg. But I like this. I like this one a lot. This cloud this break in the sky is a little bit interesting. It's like to some degree, it almost looks like a bear peering in from the side, but I like it. It's adorable. We move on. This one I think is better. Yes, this one is better. This one is better because it's, yeah, now, again, I've corrected my horizon a bit, and it does feel more like the flow comes right down through. These two are very imperceptible. There's going to be one that touches me more than the other, so we're going to stick with that. What's the difference? Really isn't much of one. Alright, we're going to keep this one. We're going to lose this one. Not that one. We're keeping that one. We're losing this one. There we go. And then, because I still had the filter with me, I put my 10-stop filter back on and got some shots of the water just flowing like that, which is also very pretty, and I'm going to keep. This is 1/8 of a second. This isn't even a super long exposure. This is a super long exposure. This is a minute. I'm not sure. This might be amazing or it might be a complete nightmare, but I'm keeping it. And I'm starring it because I want to come back to it. Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had with this photo. It's got a lot of promise. I'm excited to work on it. All right. Now we're coming up. This is from the bridge, and you can you see the stream. Yeah, having the rocks in the stream leading up to the mountain. Oh man, I did a bunch of these. Let's see. No, not as good. I like this little line of white rapids here. Let's see. I like this less, I think. I don't know. It's cool being down at water level. I'm gonna keep it. I don't know if it's exactly what I want. This feels like it's too low. Now I feel like the mountain is losing the competition with the trees. All right, this one's staying. Let's see. All right, I was talking about finding that lake up at the top where the water was just gorgeous. Look how green this is, and look how clear it is. Like it is, and this is the lake that river is flowing from down to the lower lake. So this water is not exactly still, but it is still that gorgeous and clear. Not keeping that one. Got a couple of these. Let me see. No, I did a couple. Just sort of. Nope, that one's not as good. But this one still doesn't feel as good. I feel like clicking back and looking the other direction was the better way to go. I think I nailed it on the first one. I think the first one is the best of the group. Yeah, though brightening it up does give me a much better view of the lake bottom, which is kind of nice. All right, that's a vacation photo. I don't think it's quite what I want it to be in order to edit it. Oh, but here you go. Look at the sunlight and the ripples coming through there. And we do kind of inadvertently had came to a point here that sort of lines up with the mountain up there. So let me see how many of these I did. Oh, geez, I did a whole bunch more portraits. Please hold while I rotate all of these at once. Boom. But we are flying through these. There we go. Okay. So there's that one. This one, which same kind of thing, doesn't seem like it's as good. Again, we got so lucky with the clouds just framing the side of this mountain. Better. I like this photo. I don't like losing the lights, the ripples coming through, but that's tilted too much. This is looking the other direction. It's a good reflection. It is. This feels like it's very much about the clouds. No. Gonna keep these first two. This feels like it's about the reflection and about the water. This next one feels like it's about the clouds, and not in a bad way. That's a very amusing cloud, and it does kind of it stands out from the landscape, but it is still part of the landscape. Let's see. Again, I got real comfortable with cow's parsnip, but I don't care about this photo. This photo is not one that I want. This either. Maybe I've just. It might have been just by the time of day that I was getting kind of cow's parsnipped out, but I'm also just. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind this one. I'm gonna keep this as a vacation photo, but I'm probably not gonna edit much of it. Same deal here. Not even gonna keep that one. This strikes me as a little more interesting. I'm gonna keep this one. I like the little patch of. This is the thing. When you have reflections of the sky, the reflection, just by virtue of being a reflection, is always going to be dimmer without editing than the thing itself. Unless, like, yeah, no, pretty much any time the reflection, because by virtue of reflecting, you're losing some of the luminance. But what happens is that when the sky is overexposed, you sometimes end up with reflections that are very well balanced. Yep. And in this case, we have this little corner of gorgeous sky and clouds, which I think is hilarious. So we're gonna keep that. Let's see. Yeah, gonna keep that because I like it, even if I like it just for me. Let's see. This one feels like a vacation photo. Feels like I don't know. I took a bunch of photos of this. This is meant to be a panorama. I don't think so. I think this is just me, sort of enjoying the scope of the trees there. Yeah, just enjoying the different types of trees as they work their way up. I think I was enjoying that element of it. So let's pick one of these and keep it. Ooh, we're getting some nice wide shots that I really enjoyed. I like this one. I like that one less. Just a rock formation preference. Same deal, liking that one less. That one's close. Between these two. First one's tilted a bit, but I do like it better. And then this one, nah. All right, we got the first one. Cool. Thought this was cool. Nice little, like, the good little shot of the lake, and then with the mountains up there. I think it's a cool, like, just view of the entire system. That was neat. Gonna keep that. Not gonna keep this one. Too much sky. Not balanced. This was like, again, cloud shadow is a big favorite of mine. I was trying to get like the path and the mountains. Didn't really land for me the way I was hoping it would. Let's see if any of the rest of these did, because I was sort of experimenting. These are feeling like they're getting better, so like I'm gonna keep one of these. Let's see. That one feels really good, actually. That one feels like the path is in the right spot and the mountains are... That feels like a little bit too much like it's about the path to a degree that it shouldn't. This is absolutely about the path. And there's that one. Which, yeah, I don't know. I don't love it as much. I'm going to stick with the first one. This to some degree, this is like, that photo is good enough that I could edit it potentially, but it's also, it's a little bit of just, you know, it's almost a vacation photo. Just about. I'm actually going to make this one a vacation photo. Again, looking at little spots that tell a little story. This, I think, was really cute. This, I really like that. Just, again, the light coming through. Look at that. Light coming through on the ridge, lighting up this one patch, making these trees and these rocks really stand out. That's cool. I'm going to keep that. All right, here we go. Came out into this little meadow and found this gorgeous viewpoint where you got the mountains and you got the main peak back there. But this shot doesn't really do a whole lot for me. It's like, we need more sky. So we added more sky. And that's when it hit me that the sun was directly above this mountain. And that became, okay, that's what this moment's going to be about. So, let's see, which of these two do I like better? I think it's the second one. I think if I turn up the clarity, I bring down and I dehaze, hang on a second, I'm going to bring down the highlights. Yeah, if I can, I'm trying to get the sun to pop up there. This feels like we're holding, it's like we're holding a bowl of the sky. And I like that absolutely a lot. Save that. This one, not so much. Doesn't quite do it as well. This is me finally doing a panorama. So, we're going to take all of these. We are going to rotate them. We're going to star them. We're going to set flag as flagged. Set rating as 1. Did that not work? Did that not rate all of these? This needs to rate all of these. Rating. Set rating at 1. There we go. That's better. Yeah, so now what's going to happen, and this is going to be a fun thing to come through and do, is I'm going to, like, I've got these shots where I sort of go across the whole little valley to capture the whole thing with the grass in the foreground and the sky and the mountains in the background. And we go all the way across to get a shot that is wider than I could have gotten on my lens, because this is all the way zoomed out. This is at 10 millimeters, and I'm not getting any of this mountain over here. I'm getting very little of this one here. Yeah, just kind of, yep, reason to go wide. Same thing here, doing another really, really wide one, which I do like. And I think in this one I was doing, it's not this one. I like this one. I'm going to keep it. We talked at Crystal Mill about doing shots that on a like I set the tripod up for this because I wanted to do that high dynamic range thing again, where you expose each, the brightest, the darkest, and the medium of each element on their own. So here's me overexposing for the sun. Here is me exposing for kind of the mid-range. And then here's me exposing for the mountains and the landscape. And hopefully combining all three of those will give me a really detailed picture that has the landscape in beautiful focus and in prominence, and then has the sky, and then has the sun up there that I can do something with. That'll be fun. And then here's another photo, just me trying to sort of capture all of it. I'm going to keep all that. Not going to keep this. This one's not really saying much to me. A little bit there. There's some. I actually like this one better than the first one. I like the clouds. I like how that. Yeah, I like how it's just. It's amazing. The slight change in composition, slightly angling up and twisting a little bit. This feels like a more complete photograph that takes me on a bit more of a journey. This mountain, this mountain feels like it's nicely perched and sitting correctly on top of this field, and the clouds are there. It feels like a little hat on top of this landscape, and that feels cool. All right, now I got my friend the stag, and this is where the majority of the rest of our photos are going, from whatever, we're at 290 to 313, give or take. These are all stag, which means a lot of them are not going to be kept, because first view, this guy was further down the path from me than I expected, or than I could get a good picture of, and I was being very, very cautious, making sure that he was aware of my presence. Yeah, difference here. This is again 1/60th of a second at 6.3. That's the same thing. This is me going to 5.6. All I did was open my f-stop up a little bit, and it makes a massive difference in terms of what I can see here. But I'm still saying no to these because they're not good shots yet. We'll get there. I feel like of all the photographers whose number of photos taken to number of photos edited ratio, wildlife photographers are going to be among the highest in that, because we're so many photos of just animals that are slightly wrong, and when he does feel like he's starting to move in the right way, you want to just click, and you're going to get a whole bunch of bad ones. I like this one though. This one feels, despite this leaf in the foreground, this one feels kind of, even though he's looking away, feels kind of artistically dramatic, and I like that a lot. That's just the back of his head. That's kind of interesting. Like him sticking his nose into a spot of bright sun while he's getting food. That's an interesting shot. Keeping that because I haven't seen that before. This one's a cute one, if a little bit out of focus. I'm not gonna keep that. That one's not as good. Also, at first he was in the first few shots he was in front of me, and I had the sun behind me. And at this point, I had worked my way around him, so that now the sun's behind him. And also he's ended up in a patch of foliage that's like this stuff in the foreground, which you will see reflects the light very well. So he's getting some nice light bounced on him to soften him up, and then he's also got, because he's got the sun behind him, we've got these nice crisp, bright edges for him, which makes him stand out really, really well. That's the power of a hair light, or a halo light. There we go. This looks terrifying, especially in black and white when you don't realize that that's greenery or a leaf. Like, this looks like something's up with his jaw, or that he's ripping chunks out of something. I love him. He's great and scary. Here's one that looks a little more normal, but again, yeah, no, that, and look at the detail in that eye. Yeah, he and I are definitely paying attention to each other. And this is one of those moments where he's the way he looks at me, like when he's kind of giving me a Kubrick stare here, versus a little bit later where he's looking up at me, is just a, in both of these cases, I never got a sense that he thought I was a threat. In this instance, I was a little more worried that he was in a position where he could lower his head and charge. And then he made this face, and I didn't even realize I got this face on camera until after I got back down to the bottom and was looking at the photos. But yeah, this is him chewing. This is, to some degree, I kind of read this as him being like, nah, gotcha. He's being a goof. But again, I'm personifying. This photo is terrifying and awesome, and I'm keeping it. That one less so. That was a lot of it. There we go. Just, I'm keeping this one as a vacation shot. I like this. Like, there's something. It's not a photo that I really want to, do a whole lot with, other than just kind of enjoy the ear and the antlers sticking out through the vegetation. Just makes him look like he's got a big goatee or something going on. Vacation shot. I'll keep it for that reason. Not so much on that one. That one's not that interesting. That one's got something. It's cool having that edge light on him, and it's cool having the shape of his face, but it's not grabbing me the way I'd hoped it would. This one, weirdly, same position, by going with a portrait and cropping everything else out, it feels more correct. I'm keeping that one. Literally, here we go, and then there's this, which doesn't look as good to me. It's this one for some reason feels like a better portrait of the animal than this one. Same deal here. Just a pretty shot, and then here's the shot I was kind of always hoping for, is the shot of him looking at me, which I'm definitely keeping. Whether I use it or not, I'm definitely keeping it. It's not the most interesting, but it's the shot I was hoping for, and there he is in his glory, which I'm going to keep as a vacation shot. All right, 15 more photos, and then we get to find out exactly how many photos we cut. Working my way down again. I love aspens. I love the aspens leading up as lines pushing us up to the mountain. This photo is not really doing a whole lot for me. Neither is this one. That's a vacation shot. I'm keeping it because I like remembering that moment. Now I'm back at the beginning of the loop, and there was this rock that you saw. I think you saw some people on in one of the earlier photos we looked at. There was a rock that was there. Is that a person? No, that's a sign. There was a rock that you saw a couple people standing on. This, I came back much later. There were fewer people. I was able to stand on the rock and get some shots. And if I dehaze this and turn up the clarity, we're going to get some really nice... Yeah, that's too much detail in the landscape. We're going to get some really nice detail in the landscape, so we're going to keep that. People on the bridge. Wait till they... No, they were just in my photos. That's okay. I can adjust. I like this composition more. I like having the water. Not so much. It's like the photo I took when I first got there, but I do like it, so I'm going to keep it. I like this one a little bit less, I think. Yeah, that one feels better. This one feels a little bit iffy. But now here we are getting the water into the shot. Feels like this. Yeah, the reflection of the water seems like it's mirroring the mountain. Not a perfect reflection, but just that, just a lighter spot, because you got this tree here that feels like it's sort of blocking it off. Like if I bring the, that's a little affected by the highlights, but not much. I'm going to have to work on that. Yeah, bringing the clarity up a little bit helps do the trick and helps show how bright this water can be. That's cool. We'll keep that. Nope, stop adjusting. We're not there yet, pal. All right, let's see. Yeah. I just talked up a reason why I liked this last photo, and now I'm going to reject it because I like this one better. This one it's all the same stuff, but a better version of it. This one as well. I backed it. Look like I backed up a little bit so I could get the clearness of the water in there. I'm definitely keeping that one. Not even the clearance, the light reflecting off of it. And then here I'm cropping that tree out, which I feel like the tree on the side actually made a difference. Let's keep that. And then there's this. Did a few of these. Did I brighten this up? I didn't, but I did center it better. So let's lose this. Let's say yes to this one. Nah. Yeah, something about that. I like the sky. The sky feels like it's the bigger draw right now. We're going to keep that one. Said no to this one. I'm going to say yes to this one. This one feels like it's got some moody texture to it that I'll be excited for. This one's got some great texture to it, so we're going to keep that. And then last shot back at the beginning, which I'm definitely keeping because it does feel, that feels like the end of a story. That feels just, that's so vibrant. And like, yeah, this one I could turn the clarity up on, but I think what I want to do is, let's see. Let's do that. Let's then dehaze a little bit. Yeah, something like that. That just feels pretty. Yep. 2 stars, already started working on it. So there you go. That is our collection of photos from Maroon Bells. So let's go ahead and let's finish this up. Let's go ahead and clear out the rejected ones. 152. Delete. And now we're going to wait, and it gives me a chance to sort of hydrate. Slight hydration. And the answer is 178. Where's my pen? So, 178, which is funny because we started with 366 for the marble and crystal one, and we ended up with 176. So we went down to 178. Okay, math time. Let's bring up a calculator. Have a calculator over. Let's bring it over here so we can see it. We went from 1629. We have 140 from Dunes. We've got 217 from Black Canyon. We've got 153 from Kepler Pass, 176 from Crystal, and 178 from Maroon Bells. And the total, 864. I don't think I missed anything there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 864. So, let's clear that. 1629 minus 864 is 765. So we took out just under half, just 100 shy of taking out half of the photos. Like I said, there's going to be tons of these that I've selected. These are not all getting edited. Again, 800 something photos, and there's going to be ones that I kind of come through, and there's some that, like, there's multiple versions of. There's some I know I want to work on. There's some that I'm like, I'm gonna keep that for various reasons. But this is still like such a cool journey to have been on, to have shared these sort of just picking out the photos with you, and now we get to enjoy the process of taking that 864 photos left and starting to whittle them down into something, into some of the final ones that are going to be just our flagship photos. So stick around. We're gonna the rest of my streaming for the rest of the month is going to be working on these photos and working on them one at a time. Not one at a time. We'll do sessions where we do 3 or 4, and then we'll probably do some one shots in there where it's one at a time. Probably going to try to stream Friday. We're going to end this little series and not stream every day anymore, but we're going to try to stream on Friday for a bit, Friday during the afternoon, and then next week we'll do a couple good sessions where we'll get to go through some photos and really take what we've started with here and refine them. And a bunch of these are like, some of these photos are going to take a good amount of time. Some of them are going to just be fairly easy to go with. Honestly, a lot of these sand dunes photos, like, I don't know how much work this needs. This is just, like, I could bring up the texture a bit. I can bring up the clarity, but I can also, like, this almost feels like a photo to, like, just lean into the weird contours of the desert and be happy and be done with. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to have a lot of fun. Throw 2 stars on that, so I've been playing with it. But yes, so anyway, back to me. Thank you for joining for this cool little week-long adventure of me just being a goof and going through all my photos. Thank you for giving me an excuse to go through all my photos, not having them sit there. And we'll be doing more of these for the rest of the month, and we'll be coming back to them as we go on. And as they get added, as they get completed, they will be added sporadically to my Instagram. But they will be very, more diligently added to my website, and then also, kind of as I go, they're going to be the first in line to be added to my Go Imagine store, which is what the QR code you're seeing is for. So if you would like to check out more of my photography, you can go to erichackler.com/photography. And from there, you can get to my Instagram, you can get to my Go Imagine store, or you can get to my main photo portfolio and see all of my photography. And yeah, if you would like to purchase a framed print of one of my photos, either check out my Go Imagine store, see what if the selection there appeals to you, or if not, feel free to contact me through here or through my website or or through my Instagram. And if there's a photo that you like that is not on my store, let me know, and I can see about getting you a print of your own. So anyway, go ahead and give you a second to scan that if you would like. Cool. And then we're going to come back to me and just wrap it up. So thank you again for joining. Thank you so much for letting me share this little journey I've been on. It has made me remember how wonderful these places I got to visit are, and that I get to share them makes it even more wonderful, and also now is really solidified in my head what a wonderful place these are, because now I've gotten to sit and I've experienced it here, and now I've gotten to experience it here, and now we get to share it. So yes, thank you for joining. Protect national parks, protect nature. It is not only because we need it to survive, but also because physically need it to survive, but also because we mentally need it to survive. This is I've never found more peace than I have surrounded by nature that humbles me and empowers me. So thank you as always for being along with us, and we will continue on. In the meantime, keep making stuff, keep being awesome. There's more adventures to come, and let's hopefully get to go on them all together. So have a good one. Be kind, be well, and do not stop.